Hey, my name is Rob Wu, CEO and co-founder of CauseVox. So first off, thanks so much for being a webinar speaker at CauseVox. We have a huge audience of about 100,000 email subscribers. Hundreds of people join us on our webinars and register. And we just want to take the time to say thank you for sharing your expertise to our nonprofit audience. When I started CauseVox 12 years ago, there are two goals. One is to develop the best tools for digital fundraising for small and medium-sized nonprofits. And second is to educate nonprofit professionals on how to increase their fundraising results. So you're taking part of that huge vision over a decade in the making, and I really want to thank you for sharing your insights with our audience. So in this video, what I want to do is introduce myself, which I just did, and then take you through what CauseVox is, so we can have some context as you speak to our audience, so you can be more successful as a webinar speaker. And then lastly, also give you some tips in terms of what works and what doesn't work, the do's and don'ts when it comes to speaking to our webinar audience. Feel free to watch this at 2x speed. I don't mind. You can get through this pretty fast, but I'll try to keep this concise and short as possible. All right, so let's start off with some slides. What CauseVox is we're a digital fundraising platform for nonprofits. What that really means is that we offer three things. One is we have a best-in-class fundraising solution, fundraising platform for small and medium-sized nonprofits. So organizations can use our digital fundraising platform for donation forms that are modernized. They can run peer-to-peer fundraising without all the clunk of traditional older peer-to-peer platforms. They can sell event tickets. They can do pledge now, pay later, which is a installment version of donations, kind of like buy now, pay later. And they can do all of this in one place, in one platform that's super easy to use, that's affordable, that's budget friendly, that has all the modern features that they're looking for. Second, we provide hands-on support. So you can think of CauseVox as your local hardware shop on Main Street, where you have amazing service, people are personable. When you call somebody, when you send an email, you'll get a reply. So we're not private equity backed, we're not VC backed. To this day, 12 years later, we remain independent. And we kind of see ourselves more as artisans or more as an independent local shop than a big software company. And lastly, we provide top-rated fundraising education to our folks in our audience. When it comes to our product, which is our bread and butter over here at CauseVox, is our goal is we want to get folks to use our fundraising platform as much as possible, or at the very least, check us out to see if it would be a good fit. Our value prop, our value prop revolves around this idea that you can raise more in less time. So typical fundraising solutions, fundraising software and platforms are really clunky. They're hard to use, they're complex, and for most small and medium-sized organizations, it becomes overwhelming to a point where they can't really focus on the fundraising aspect of fundraising and focus too much on the technical aspect of technology. So with our platform, folks can easily use us for one thing or many things, such as donation forms, pledge now, pay later, crowdfunding, event ticketing, peer-to-peer fundraising. Some of the core benefits that people see and customers see from our platform, which if you want to, you can check out our reviews page on our website, causevox.com/reviews, or any of the recent user interview videos that I've been doing this new series. So check that out if you do have time. But some of the core benefits distilled is that we're easy fundraising in less time. A lot of organizations, a lot of nonprofit professionals, they just don't have the time to deal with a lot of things, or they're wearing a lot of different hats. So what we aim to do is help people increase their fundraising results in less time than it takes other fundraising platforms and other fundraising approaches. Increasing donations, so we build in a lot of different fundraising approaches and techniques. Some of them are proven, some of them are more experimental into our fundraising process in order to yield more donations. For example, peer-to-peer fundraising is something that we preach over here at CauseVox, and we found that it yields twice as much donations as other traditional digital methods, such as donation forms and crowdfunding. So we love to push that to help people increase donations. Other things, other proof on our product that helps people increase donations includes our flexible donation types, such as when you run a donation form, you can have one-time gifts or monthly recurring gifts or something new and experimental like our Pledge Now, Pay Later form, which has been proven to increase gift size as well as increase gift frequency when it comes to donor preferences. We also provide, as a core benefit, hands-on one-on-one support. So if someone is having issues, they can always contact CauseVox. You'll talk to your real person, and also a real person that actually cares in terms of solving any of your technical issues or your fundraising approaches or fundraising questions that you have. And lastly, core benefit, some of the fundraising education that you're taking part of as a webinar speaker. Our customers love us. We're highly rated on Capterra as well as G2 Crowd. This is just one of the reviews from April Hearn. She's the managing director of Amigos International, a federated nonprofit. She mentions that her old platform was really clunky, and then since she joined CauseVox for the past few years, they love it and they're able to use it very easily, as well as to streamline their back office and increase fundraising results. Moving forward, so when you're talking to our audience over here at CauseVox, it'd be good to know who you're talking to. So typically our core audience are small, medium-sized orgs. They're either like the fundraising person at the organization or like a development director or development manager that's part of a small team, or somebody that's fell into the fundraising role that's wearing a lot of different hats. So this could be like a junior person or a mid-level person who is partially in charge of fundraising, partially events, partially marketing, partially operations. So they're wearing a lot of different hats and have to handle a lot of different things. For smaller organizations that we talk to, they could be the executive director, where they're in charge of fundraising as an ED, but also in charge of a lot of different things. So they're kind of split focuses. Predominantly for our audience, they're very interested in digital as well as hybrid fundraising approaches. So to give you an example, digital meaning that anything that relates to the internet, like online fundraising or peer-to-peer or digital marketing and that kind of thing. Those kind of topics resonate very well with our audience. In terms of our philosophy over here at CauseVox, this is kind of how we run things, especially on the education side, where we had three different philosophies. One, we believe that good is better than perfect. We never aim for perfection because that just takes too much time and also just costs too much. So if you can get 90% there, and if you're able to fix the rest of the 10% later on with some actual feedback from folks to make a better product, then you can actually get to over 100% that way. So good is better than perfect. We're not looking for perfect slides, perfect presentations. We're looking for good ones that are very useful. We believe that tactical is better than theory. So this is something that's really important for our audience, where they're looking for tips and hacks and techniques that really work, that they can take away and then within an hour later share with their colleagues or implement right away in their fundraising. They're not looking for grand strategies. They're not looking for example, moves management techniques, that kind of thing. They're just looking for simple things that really work that they can take away and do right now. Third is that we're very casual over here, as you may have seen from my dress code, where I'm wearing a hoodie and a t-shirt. We're not very casual. We're not very serious, not very professional, as in like we're not buttoned up. We don't wear suits over here. We believe that a part of the fun of running CauseVox every day is that we're able to enjoy the people that we work with and have a really good time. So we fundamentally believe that that's really important. So during the presentation, feel free to not wear a suit and tie and just have a good time. As long as you're having fun, then our audience will be having fun. When it comes to our webinars, the only thing that I really care about is that we want demo requests. So the whole point of us doing a lot of the content education stuff is that we want to drive product demos for our sales and marketing team. So if you could do me a solid when you talk to our audience, is that if you can mention that CauseVox is great and folks are investigating it, and they should check out our request demo page, which is, as you can see on the screen, schedule-a-demo. That'd be great. All we want over here at CauseVox is more product demos as our number one driver for success. All right, so that's CauseVox. If you do have any questions in general related to myself or CauseVox platform, anything like that, feel free to let us know. You can contact whoever you're talking to over here at CauseVox, or you can contact me directly, which is Rob, R-O-B, at CauseVox.com. So it's very hard to remember. I'm just kidding, it's very simple. Feel free to reach out anytime. I'm happy to have a meeting, discussion, learn more about you, your organization, as well as how we can work together. All right, lastly, let's talk about some webinars, do's and don'ts. So from my experience, there's certain things that you should do on a webinar to help people stay engaged, as well as help people understand you and also like you in general and like your presentation. So I want to share kind of 4 do's. The first one is that be tactical and use examples. As I mentioned before, our audience is really looking for tactical things they can apply right now. So be tactical. Strategy is very important, but then always leave the audience with a few key takeaways of things they can apply. Examples typically work really well because organizations in our audience, they're typically people who fell into the role, so they might not understand like theory or the academic side of fundraising. What really works for them is just seeing examples, seeing how other organizations have done it, so they can not only understand the concept better, but understand the tactics better, but then use that as proof and take it up to their bosses or their board as something that they should try and sell into. The second tactic as a webinar do is to use good lighting and clear audio. Meaning that, I don't know how to explain this too much, but since we're all zoomed out in the past 2 years of COVID, but have a quiet room, have good lighting. You don't want to have like a floor lamp in the background, the casting like strong shadows on you, those kind of things. Sit next to a window. Typically, those techniques will allow you to appear and look more clearly on the webinar presentation. And at the end of the day, that helps people stay more engaged. Another do is to send your slide deck in advance. So one of the things we love to do is we'll be happy to take a look at your webinar presentation. We mainly want to do this because we know our audience the best, so we can pass along some high-level feedback in terms of some recommendations. And the other thing too is we just want to make sure that nothing in the presentation comes across as competitive to CauseVox, meaning that we don't want to hear about our competitors, and we don't want to use this webinar as a presentation to sell our competitor products. That'd be really annoying since I worked really hard to build a company. And the last thing I want to do is hear about Joe Schmo from across the street who's also selling whatever widgets. So send your slide deck in advance for 2 reasons. One is for improvements to it, so because we know our audience, and second, because we need to see it as a requirement. Tip number 4, have a good time. As I mentioned before, we want you to have a good time. We know that this is a great opportunity for you to promote your organization and authority and things you do. But don't take it too seriously. Our mantra over here at CauseVox is just, have a good time. Let's do good work. So we want to pass along that as well. All right, 4 don'ts, which I think I just mentioned, I kind of skipped ahead in my presentation, is don't be salesy and self-promoting. If you are salesy and self-promoting, then your audience will leave. So they don't like that. You'll see the live attendees slowly drop off, and that typically is kind of demoralizing. So there's a way that you can be salesy and promoting without being salesy and self-promoting. So the first thing you want to do is demonstrate your authority. Talk to people about what kind of results you've helped other people generate, and then have people see yourself as an authority. So that they'll go out to you and seek out to you for some of your services. Typically, for people who do speak to the CauseVox audience, they're able to grow their client list and customer list. So there's a way that you can do that without being overtly salesy and self-promoting. If we do hear from our audience that you are too salesy and self-promoting, then unfortunately we will not invite you back because our audience would not appreciate that. The second don't is to take more than what you give. So over here at CauseVox, we subscribe to this philosophy of giving more than we take. That's why we're not funded. That's why we're not PE backed, because we're not trying to maximize profit. And that's why we have folks like you that we want to invite to speak to our audience so that you can use us as a channel to increase your customer list. This is how I started CauseVox as well. I went around and did webinars for a lot of the nonprofit industry. And then I was able to access audience and grow CauseVox in a way that I wanted to. So this is kind of our way of giving back. We're not asking for anything in return. Please take the approach, and whatever that means to you, to give more than you take. All right, so tip number 4, when it comes to our webinars, I think I mentioned this before, and I'll mention it again. Please do not call out my direct competitors. I would be very unhappy to hear our competitors being mentioned. We do have tons of other, if you're looking for examples for fundraising, we have tons of examples. Talk to the person you're talking to over here at CauseVox. They'd be happy to pass along examples. But I would love it if you don't mention some of my competitors, such as Classy and GoFundMe. Is GoFundMe a competitor? And they kind of are. One Cause, don't mention them. Facebook fundraisers, please don't mention them. Mobile Cause, please don't mention them. The list can go on, and we do have a list that can be passed along to you. But just be cautious in terms of whose house you're at, and let's be a good house guest. Just do me a solid. All right, and fourth, don't go off topic. We've had webinar presenters that don't get highly reviewed just because they're talking about the audience thinks that they're going to talk about something, but then the webinar presenter talks about something else that's off topic or not related to the description. We'll be happy to adjust the description, adjust that kind of thing if you want to change up your presentation. But let's be specific and stay on topic, and that typically will allow you to have increased audience and increased audience retention throughout your webinar. All right, so I just spent the last 16 minutes chatting about CauseVox as well as some of the do's and don'ts. I do apologize if this seems kind of restrictive, but it's not meant to be that way. It's meant to help you be successful, because what I want to do is make sure that you're able to reach the audience you want to reach, as well as reach the audience you want to reach again and again by partnering up over here at CauseVox. If you do have additional questions, feel free to reach out to anyone here at CauseVox. You can reach out to me directly, rob@causevox.com. And if you do have additional ways you want to work together, I'd love to hear. So feel free to ping me directly. Be happy to carve out some time, chat, to see how else we can work together. And lastly, thanks again so much for being a webinar presenter over here. I think nonprofits struggle a lot with getting the best quality education, and what you're doing here, carving out your time, is very important. So thank you so much. And I'll chat with you later.